Do you ever struggle with your prayer life, wondering what to pray or how to truly connect with God day to day? Introducing the Grace Daily Devotions app, your journey to deeper faith and personalized spiritual growth. Grace delivers daily devotions and prayers crafted just for you, based on what your heart and soul needs most. Experience devotional time and prayer like never before. Daily devotions made easy. No more searching, no more guessing, just grace, guidance, and growth at your fingertips using the latest technology. Download the Grace Daily Devotions app by going to graceapp.io. That's graceapp.io. Let grace inspire your prayer life. Start your journey now.
This is Next Steps for Seniors with your host, Wendy Jones. Each week, Wendy brings resources and information to help guide you through those next steps with elderly parents and loved ones. You can follow, subscribe, and share on your favorite podcast platform. If you have questions or topic suggestions for Wendy, you can call us at 248-651-5010 or email at hello@nextstepsforseniors.com.
Hello and welcome to Next Steps for Seniors, Conversations on Aging. I'm your host, Wendy Jones, and as you all know, I have such a passion. Such a passion for our seniors, our wise, incredible, amazing seniors who have lived long, fulfilling lives. And because of that passion, our topic today is going to be, Am I Invisible? And the reason is because I feel like as we age, we get to a point where we feel like we're not really here anymore. People make us feel that way. We don't feel that way, but others make us feel that way. And I'm going to tell you a story just to start with. And this is a true story. I was walking through an airport, and everybody knows the hustle and bustle of airports. And this little sweet lady by herself with a cane and a little bag was walking through the airport. And everyone, and I'm talking everyone, families with kids, just running around this woman, literally like she wasn't even there. Speeding past her, almost knocking her over, cutting her off, just she wasn't moving fast enough for what was happening. Well, I noticed her, walked right up to her, stopped next to her, looked at her, put my hand on her arm, and I said, I want you to know I see you. Is there anything I can do? And she looked right at me and she said, You've done it all. Thank you for noticing me. I feel like I'm invisible. And this is when this topic came to my mind, because I thought, this poor woman literally feels invisible with thousands of people in a huge airport, like she's not even there. And that is why our guest in the studio, Frank Rosenbaum, and I'm so grateful to have him here. He's an entrepreneur in healthcare. He has a heart for both the vulnerable seniors and for children. And we are blessed to have you with us here. How are you, Frank? Thanks for being here today.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here.
We are grateful for you. So your experience throughout life has led us to this conversation. So Frank and I were talking recently about aging and what happens as we age. And he's willing and able because he's a strong, heartful man who knows what it's felt like these last few years as we age. So my first question, Frank, to you is, has there ever been a moment that you personally experienced where you felt unseen or overlooked because of your age? And what did that feel like?
There are probably many moments that I felt that. And as I enter my 80 years of life, things have changed. My environment's changed. But maybe we have a choice. Maybe we have a choice whether or not we want to feel invisible or not. And I can remember one time when I was in the process of selling a company, and I sat in a room with a lot of young guys, and they were all Harvard College. My CEO, who was about the same age as me, I was in my late 60s at the time, turned to me and she said, These could all be your grandkids. And I thought,
oh my goodness.
And I thought that made me feel somewhat invisible because most of their questions turned towards my younger staff that happened to be there and not realizing I had been there 26 years, founded the company, and developed the company.
And that's why they were all there, really, because of you.
Exactly.
If you really want to get down to the brass tacks of it all.
Exactly.
Wow. And so, the comments maybe that people make, right?
Yes.
And not even I'm sure she didn't think anything of that.
Yeah. And people try to help you when you get off a boat or you get off and they grab for you and try to, and it's always very, very meaningful. But I learned in working with handicapped people, and particularly with people that are blind, that you don't grab out and reach for the person. You let the person reach for you. So if I need help, I will reach for the person.
And that's great advice, because I don't know that everybody knows that. I mean, it's good intentions, right?
Yes,
to try to help people.
Exactly. People are very well-meaning, and they want to help. Like you reached out to the lady
I just
in the
touched
airport.
her arm.
You
Yeah.
touched her.
Mm-hmm, because I felt like I wanted her to know I see her.
But you made a connection. And I think that really made her feel worthwhile.
Right.
And it's not only the way people make you feel, it's the way you make yourself feel. You can interpret things very, very different.
A mindset.
We're not mind readers. And sometimes we assume people can read our minds, and we assume some things that aren't true. You have to express yourself. You have to tell people what you are feeling.
I love
and
this.
Express it.
I absolutely love this. Let me ask you this question. What about the difference between men and women? Do you think there is a difference?
I definitely do. I think that women feel this invisibility much, much sooner than men do. Although it's changing somewhat, and men are putting more and more emphasis on their looks, but looks do play such an important role. And particularly for women, unfortunately,
there's more pressure. The society.
Our society looks at that way, yes.
Unfortunately, this is true. And studies show that women start to feel invisible around age 50, and men, 64.
I can understand that.
That's valuable in what you just said. And that shift happens because when you walk into a room at 56, let's just say, hypothetically, and there's a 36-year-old in the same room, the head's turned to the 36-year-old. They're just automatic. It's just like, oh, she's young, she's sharp, she's whatever. And the same thing with 86, right? I've got to assume. And you would feel the same way walking into a room, regardless of male or female.
I just have to point to my wife. We've been married 45 years. She embraces, I want to get old. But,
I love it.
But she's so fortunate because she looks so young. But it's true. It's very true.
So talking about assumptions, I want to just kind of talk through these assumptions, so to speak. So people assume that the elderly can't hear. Seniors just can't hear. So they talk louder when they talk to you. Does that offend you?
I wear hearing aids now, and it's only because my wife badgered me for years.
This is what happened.
And my joke, of course, was there's a lot of difference between hearing and listening, and sometimes you tune people out. But I do have somewhat of a hearing loss, and so a hearing aid has helped me a lot. So I do advise people to get their hearing checked, and you can't even hardly see them anymore.
They make them so fantastic.
Yes.
And I got to throw in a fact right now, because this is very important. I have interviewed a number of audiologists and neurologists, and both say hearing could be related to cognitive decline, like dementia. So it's a big deal right now.
And also to mental illness.
Yes, your brain is working because everything that's coming in, the sound that's coming into your brain, you're processing into what it is.
Well, early in my career, we worked with deaf, blind, and deaf-blind. When I was in the Southeast, it was one of the first programs that worked with deaf-blind adults. And the communication is so important that information gets in and gets out, because otherwise mental illness, other kinds of cognitive disorders evolve.
Right. Let me ask you this question. What happens to someone's spirit when they're no longer seen as valuable?
Again, people have choices, and I think people's world, their world shrinks as they get older. Their environment shrinks. They don't have the mobility. They don't have the people around them that they used to have because they don't reach out as much. Mm-hmm. And again, it's a choice.
I agree with you. There is something, mental toughness, right? Let's just go back to that. We teach our kids, be mentally tough, right? Well, there's so many mental health issues in our world today. But we, as we age, how we look at this, it's all about perception.
It is. I think I was so lucky I grew up in a multi-generational home. I grew up with my grandparents in the home. My grandfather lived to be 97.
That's fantastic. Well, you've got good genes.
Well, I have a broad vision of life. He was born in 1867. Wow. And I remember so many stories about my grandfather, my grandmother, and growing up with them. And, you learn how to get old when you're in a multi-generational family. So maybe we have to think twice about putting our people in homes and putting them in institutions. Because that's what they are. I don't care how beautiful they are.
It's about family. It's about pulling people together. It's about caring for one another, right? We're in this fast-paced world. Right. Men and women both have jobs. Both parents are working. So who suffers? The kids. And then the seniors. I mean, the reality is, and guess whose fault it is? All of ours.
Of course.
It's all of our fault. So the reality is, let's look at the situation differently. I love what you said. It's in our minds.
So let's look at some ways that people can fight this, because it's a reality. And I think, first of all, facing the reality that you are getting old. And my wife always tells me, you hate this, don't you? You hate getting old. You want to stay young. And of course we do. We all do. But we have to face the reality. And
we need to embrace this time in our lives because it happens to everyone. Exactly. Everyone gets older. You're listening to Next Steps for Seniors, Conversations on Aging.
Hi, everyone. Super Bowl champ Vernon Davis here from Legal Help Center. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up, because we have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. You can find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, Vernon. You heard it, folks. If you've been injured, call and find out how much you qualify for. Call 800-497-4410. Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
Welcome back to Next Steps for Seniors, Conversations on Aging. Our topic today, Am I Invisible? And our guest in the studio, none other than the amazing Frank Rosenbaum. Thank you, Frank, for being with us today. It's a heavy topic, but it's real. And we like to talk about real things with real answers. And you're giving us some answers today, so thank you for that.
Thank you for having me.
We're grateful for you. So we talked about, society may put this on us, but it's about what we put on ourselves. So what advice would you have for our listeners? Because we want to talk about how do we change the way this is moving, right? And the way we're thinking. And it's all mindset. It's all mindset, how you're looking, what your perception is of the situation. If you feel like you're invisible, then of course you're going to be invisible. But make yourself known, right?
I think you have to be honest with what's happening. And you've got a new chapter of your life. You're moving into this new chapter in your life, and you want to be able to really project a new purpose. And finding that purpose, that's the secret. How do you do that? How do you find a purpose in your life? All I can talk about is the way I did and the way that I have handled it.
And that's why you're here. So share that with us.
Well, I'm fortunate. I have a lot of hobbies. I love photography. I love art. I'm a painter and sculptor, and I keep a studio. I keep active painting, mostly watercolors now, not big 6-foot canvases, but I keep very active painting. And
creativity is key. There's no doubt about it in my head, yes.
Well, the left side and the right side of the brain has to keep active. But I also keep active in my companies. I have decided not to retire.
Amen.
I sold my large company, but I'm still in there. I've developed new companies. Now I have a number of facilities that work with autistic children. And also I have a company that does end-of-life care in a number of states. So I am active in both the business and my hobbies. So it's important. It's very important to keep that mind going.
Amen. And do you feel like retirement, the way people look at retirement is really key? Because if you look at it like, oh, I'm done working and now I'm just going to play, that's one thing. But if you look like you don't have any more purpose after you retire, that's another. And so I like what you said. You didn't retire. You're like, I'm going to continue, right? I'm going to be involved.
Did. But I like to keep a balance. I like to play. I love to travel. I love family. But I love my work. And I'm blessed because if you love your work, it ceases to be work.
You just enjoy it every day.
Yes, and I enjoy the people, and it broadens my environment, the people around me. There's much more stimulation the broader that you have, because as you age, your environment tends to shrink. You have fewer and fewer people around you.
Well, for reasons, obviously, that are very difficult to deal with when your friends and family start passing and you're still here. And you said your grandfather lived till 97 years old. So you've got some long genes in your life.
And also my mother did also.
Oh, my goodness.
So I've learned some important lessons.
So quick note, every person I've ever talked to that's over 90, I ask them the same question. I ask them what their secret is. So what would you say the secret of your grandparents?
Well, my grandfather, who played a very, very important role in my life. I still hear stories from acquaintances and friends from the past. He taught me how to play chess. He showed me this puzzle. He was always, always active. He corresponded with friends all over the world. I'm first generation American. My family all came out of Germany during the Holocaust.
Wow.
And so I've learned a lot of life lessons through their eyes, and I've tried to embrace those and use those to help myself and my family view life in a realistic way.
And probably pass that on to the next generation below you, right?
I love traveling. Absolutely. I love traveling with family, and we usually take them on trips anymore. Mm-hmm. That may be good or may be bad, because my wife said we need to take more trips by ourselves, because it's things that we enjoy, not just things that they enjoy. But I know that once a year I take one of my oldest grandson on a trip, and we've had so much fun. He makes all the arrangements. He's 15 years old now. We started when he was 13.
I love this.
And we go to the restaurants and the museums. And
he sets the whole thing up, so he knows.
He sets it up, and he knows more about photography than I do.
So look at the impact. Okay, so your grandfather had on you, which is why you are who you are today.
Right.
And now you're doing the same thing with your grandson, why you are who he's going to be just like you someday. And this is so important. I just want to encourage families right now. The time is the most precious commodity. The time you spend with your family and the children, because look at the impact that you've had in your life right now.
Well, I remember seeing this chess set, those funny little pieces, when I was about, 6 or 7 years old. Mm-hmm. And I went to my grandfather and I said, "What is this?" And he said, "Oh, that's chess. Let's learn how to play.
Let me teach you."
And I love playing chess. And I have a twin brother. And when we go into a room and we see a chess set, we look each other in the eyes
Get out of the way.
Watch out.
Let's go. Let's
right.
go. Oh, gosh. So who always wins? I'm just curious.
We tie. We tie. He's left-handed. When we arm wrestle, he's left-handed, I'm right-handed. So he beats me with the left hand. I beat him with the right hand.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So what other advice would you give to anyone listening to the program right now who's, maybe struggling with loneliness or isolation or not feeling like they have hope or purpose? What advice would you give to them?
Have a party. Invite people over.
I love it.
Go out,
pick up the phone.
Have
right?
a cocktail. Just be out there. It's so important. You will be surprised at the reaction that you get. I know, I watched my brother, we were with him recently, and he lost his wife after many, many years, and he's spent a little time now, and after his mourning, he's out there. He's in a dance group, and he's out there dancing.
Okay,
and boy,
same age as you, twin brother, and he's dancing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love this.
Oh, yeah.
This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Turn off the TV. Get off the couch.
I know.
I'm not saying every senior does that, but I'm watching it. I do this every day. We talk to families all day long. Be active. Keep your brain sharp. Keep your body physically active, right? And be creative. Look at all the watercolor painting and the fun stuff that you're doing.
It is fun. It is fun.
And your brother's dancing. It
He's
sounds like you're the same person.
Well, he's also an artist. He loves to paint too, and he's been traveling. He went back and visited high school friends that we haven't seen in 70 years, and he's had some interesting stories.
Well, I bet. That's incredible. I wanted to give our listeners one statistic from Johns Hopkins. They estimate that hearing loss accounts for approximately 32% of dementia cases worldwide. And you mentioned in the first segment about your hearing aids. And I think it's really critical because a lot of physicians, okay, we all have a primary care physician, and we probably have a lot of other specialty physicians, but we won't talk about that. But you go every year for your primary care, for your physical, for your wellness check, all of this every year physically. But what we're not doing is checking our ears every year. And because of this statistic from Johns Hopkins, I just want to encourage people. I'm going on my soapbox for a second. I'm going out to say it starting at the age of 50, 55 at the latest. Get your ears checked, because if you're turning that TV up too much, you need to get some hearing aids. The last thing you want is cognitive decline.
Well, it's all about communication. And I have a lot of experience working with deaf, blind, and blind. And we had a large audiology department in my rehab center when I was early in my career. Mm-hmm. And the women would come in with their husbands, and he would be grumpy, and I can hear everything. And it turns out, of course, he didn't hear everything. And we make a mistake. We sort of joke about hearing loss, don't we?
It's a real thing.
We joke about it, and we don't do that with blindness, but we do that with hearing loss.
That's wisdom right there. Thank you for sharing that. You're right. You are exactly correct. So these men would come in, and the women are like, they can't hear.
And it was always a joke. It was always a joke.
I am so grateful you are with us today, Frank. You're real. You're giving us real answers to our problems. And we, the society, we, the community, we, the state, we, the nation, need to honor and respect our seniors. Tell them you see them. Walk right up to them and say thank you. People who've served in the service, we always say, you know what? Thank you for serving. Thank you for giving back to our country. We appreciate you. Well, guess what? We need to honor and respect all of our seniors. You're listening to Next Steps for Seniors, Conversations on Aging. Go make a difference today in someone's life.